can see that. So the idea of this meeting is to have kind of like let's refactor the simple indexer together and also move it out from the from the repository. Yeah, I was just busy searching for the cat. Okay, so let's go to this executor repo, right? And this is our main things today. So what I will do here is so Winston, do you have this function, this code with me? You have this?
Yeah, I've got it installed. Yeah.
Okay. And how about Yongxuan? Do you have this?
I don't have this.
Oh, you don't have this. Oh, you don't have
sorry.
this one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Then probably which IDE are you using? Using PyCharm?
Yeah, PyCharm, but I will install it later. I'm not sure how long it takes.
Okay, so you can install while I just prepare some work. Okay, so let's start with let's also create a slice. Just to so create a slide and write down what do we do, right? So okay, so migrating, I think we can get this done in just hour. Migrating simple index, right? Migrating and refactoring, right? And refactoring simple index. I will also share this to the share to this global team so that you can you can also join, right? Okay, so to start with, we want to migrate, but we don't want to use the let's say we don't want to just copy paste. We just want to start from scratch, right? So we want to start from scratch. So what I will do is I will just use local Jina, and then Jina have new, right? So we have Jina have new, and this will basically pop up this thing, and then I will call it a simple indexer, right? Like this. I will just call it simple indexer. And which folder do you want to stay? So just here, and you want to proceed to advanced configuration? No, right? Oh no, I didn't share my screen, right? So that's the reason why you don't know what I was talking about. So okay, so let's remove this and then do this again, because I want to make sure that you simple indexer, and then so Regina have new, right? And this I type simple indexer, and then here I will just say which folder is storing. And that's all we need, right? So we don't need any other options. Okay, so that's it. That's the basic boilerplate that we have, right? Okay, so now let's go to the PyTorch here, and then let me just open that the simple indexer that we just created. Okay, so this is simple indexer, and then the environment, virtual environment like this, so this should be fine, right? So this should be fine. And okay, so now we're going to modify, oops, pip install. Yeah, I don't know why this. Okay. It's probably because of the requirement is badly written. Because let me check something. Because usually you don't have these complaints, but if you have this, so that usually means the requirements is not. If I just do pip install -e dot. Okay, yeah. Setup not found. Okay, anyway, so but if I just do pip install requirement, what does it? No, okay, so empty file will not give an error, right? Okay, so now let's go to this part. So I see it is not okay. So this is a wrong interpreter. So I have to change this to the correct interpreter. Okay. All right. So let's start with this, right? So this is our boilerplate, and let's just copy paste. And why there is a trainer here? Oh, because sorry. Close this project, and then I should open the simple. I should open the SimpleIndexer in standalone project. Okay, so I'm confused. What I don't know why this thing is here. Maybe I should exclude it. Yeah, but nevertheless, so I don't want to touch this because this is all right. So we start with this one. So let me just add you guys. So you can have a full access here. You can edit the files, and then we don't use that. We just enable the access. Okay, so now link to copy invitation link, and now you can join.
Okay.
Did you join?
I'm downloading the
How about
Winston
Winston?
guest.
Same here. I think, yeah, the script requires me to download something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So,
How about the weather right now in Canada?
yeah, it's pretty nice, and the temperature is not very high like previously, and yeah.
So Berlin is today is super hot. It's like a 27 degree at the moment. Usually it's
27?
yes, 27. I was also surprised. Like I was like a little bit worried about our Xbox because it's put directly under the sea. So I hope it's not burning. And like last week it was 17, just 17 degree and Celsius. And then this is just a 10 degree suddenly it becomes back to summer again. Okay, so while you were installing, so let me also take a look. What is how the SimpleIndexer is written so far. Okay. Yeah, I receive Winston's request. Yeah, I see you all join, right? So now you can have the you can select my files and also see you can also type something, right?
Cool.
Okay, so now the first thing that we do is so the SimpleIndexer is basically a document array map, right? So let's just assume that they all work. So I just copy this here, right? So I will remove this part. Yeah, so I will do something like this. And yeah, so what I will do here is, so I will let's first look at the init functions here, right? So so what we will do, so we will do things in the following order, right? So we first examine every function that we have here, and then we see whether there is a need to refactor that, right? And then we will look at all the doc strings and we'll see if they are accurate, and finally we come to the README, and then also configuration, and then push to Jina Hub. So that is basically today's task, right? Okay, so let's first look at this. Let's see, index file name. So what I usually propose, so I focus a lot of times on the details, right? So this is unnecessary because you know this is indexer, so this is just a file name, and usually you just put it like in this way, right? So you don't have to rename, you don't have to add index in front because people know that it's an indexer, so therefore you don't use. The same thing goes here, right? So you rarely name something as default because it is not. Because if it is default, then why people change that? So this is the default value, right? So otherwise, when people describe this value, they will say, oh, this is a default of default traversal path. Right? So then it doesn't make sense. So so I will just call it. So let's first look at where it is used, right? So it start is build a documentary map from this workspace, but actually it is not that necessary, right? So the reason is, so first of all, documentary map, this one, it is not a single file, right? So to show you what I mean, right? So when you create a documentary map, so basically I also want to show you how I program. So from Jina import documentary map, right? So, and then if you just do dam equals documentary map, and then something like this, right? So there's test, test folder, test something, right? And then if you run this, what is the run command? And then you see that it suddenly creates a folder which contains 2 files, right? So with this empty dam, it creates a folder with 2 files, right? So that basically means this is not a file name. This is not a file name. It is a folder name. And if it is about the folders, then why can't we just use Workspace, right? And to just show you the idea again, so let's create another toy. Okay, so let's from Jina import. Let's look at what the executor. What is the executor workspace, right? So let's create a dummy executor, my exec and executor, and so I don't need to do anything. I just def foo, and then I just self the workspace and print it out. So what is this one? Because I mean, this is a point why we have all this interface, right? Where we have all this workspace things, because we don't want user to construct all this thing by themselves. We don't want user to construct all this folder by themselves just by using the APIs that we provide. And Workspace is one of the APIs that we provide, right? So let's see what is Workspace. I mean, I don't know if you have already know that. Do you know already what is the result of this line? So if I just have what Workspace type .foo, right?
I'm not sure. Probably Workspace.
Yeah, confound metas. Confound metas runtime Workspace. So this is I think this is because this. Let me just.
Okay, separated.
Maybe it is because of this reason, but usually it should not. It should not be this reason. Why you guys left from the coding? From code with me?
Oh,
Oh, you guys back. It's probably connection thing.
Yeah, sometimes connection.
Okay, so it says that
This will,
didn't define this keyword. And let's run this again. No, is you cannot find main task workspace or this workspace, right? So that means so let's look at this line. Where does it come from? Right. Oh, by the way, so this is badly written, right? So this is directly raise a root exception, right? So this is usually you don't directly raise such exception, right? You raise either a value arrow or something like you know, to more semantic. You don't raise a root exception like a this basically like you know, everything is wrong, right? So like this is like the mother of wrong, right? Okay. So anyway, so okay, so we have workspace, and then
yeah, it's also
okay.
fetching from the metas and
yes, it's fetching from the metas and runtime. And since we are not giving any one of them, but I thought the default should be, you know, oh, I see. Okay, I see the problem here. So the reason is how we use it, right? We use it in this way. And therefore, there is no runtime args anywhere. Usually the runtime args is passed by the P, right? Or passed by the pod, right? And because we are not wrapping, we are not using it inside the, you know, inside the pod. So therefore it is just it's just an error. So what I believe is if I just put that in the flow, right? If I just put that into the flow, so it should work. Add my uses my EXEC, and this should work. So let's see. Yeah, I should probably post something. Yeah. Yeah, and now you can see that this is correct, right? So you create a my EXEC, this thing, and inside that you have a 0. You have this workspace. Okay. So that being said, you know, so first of all, you see the workspace is basically this my EXEC 0. So it is already a folder, right? And also we already know from this logic so if you set metas, right, and it will appreciate that, right? So let's say if we set metas, and then here I uses metas, and then I override the workspace to something like Booyah, right? And so if I do this thing again, right? You see, so it's now it's under Booyah, right? So this is this basically saying that we don't need to have although this is a little bit problematic. I would imagine it uses Booyah directly without creating my EXEC, right? So that would make more sense, right? But I don't see there is a harm of creating this one, but I just think it's probably.
I can understand why we need that, because like different indexers will have different names.
Oh,
so probably you have like same holder like Booyah or Workspace to store all the indexes files. So they will have a separate,
Yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, so you can see what is you know, the benefit of using the workspace here is it already considers the sharding, right? So that's why it has a 0 here. It already considers the shards, right?
Yes.
So that's why we don't need to implement this logic, you know, again, right? So let's go back to the executors that we have. So that means the documentary map, all this thing is unnecessary, right? So we don't need to construct it. We just use you know, the workspace. All right. So this is our main storage. So let's make an empty line to highlight this. Okay, so now let's look at this one. the key length, the key length is not known or else a key length storage inside document when indexing. So this is due to the reason that if you just import it, here it basically have some parameters of the document remap map. So this is a document remap map, right? It also receives some parameters, but those parameters, to be honest, is hardly using, right? For a lot of, I mean, if you came to use that, there is a sign that you probably need a better indexer, right? So let's put it this way, right? If you start to think about using these parameters, then you probably need a real indexer, right? Instead of using simple indexer. But anyway, so now it's come to a small design decision if we want to keep, keep the flexibility, right? But anyway, I would say if you want to keep the flexibility here, then you should remove this one, right? Because this one is not necessary. You can just say that you can pass all the keywords to here. But now the problem is because document remap map is not implemented in this way. So if so I want to edit anyway. So it's not implemented in this way. If it is implemented this way, then we can pass all the keywords to that and let it handle, but it's not, right? So because it's not, so we cannot do that. So I would say here for simplicity, we just remove this. For simplicity, we just remove it. Right. So as I said, if you come to this stage, then probably is simple indexer is just too simple for you, right? And okay, so now it comes to the default traversal part. This is something that I will come to later because I don't know what is this about. And top K, okay, so this kind of makes sense, right? So those are the things that so I'm guessing this is used in this is used for search only, right? Because as a search you want to traverse. In the index, you want to store everything, right? So I'm guessing that's why I'm guessing it is search only. And here is a distance. Distance comes from the distance metric and here, right? So, but here is also like the difference, right? So remember so if we look at, so when we design the API, we have to keep consistent, right? And if you look at the match function here, this is different. If we look at the our document search is pretty bad. can't even, here it goes. Okay, here. Yeah, second place. Yeah, so here it just use metric, right? Because distance and metric are basically the same thing, right? So you don't have to say distance metric, it's just metric, right? Metric name, metric, right? So it's just metric, right? So here I will just rename it to metric. Right, like this.
Yeah, I think metric make more sense, but maybe another reason is like we want to keep the interface consistent with other probably searchers. So I think, but since we need to remove the simple indexer, so I think it's fine. Usually, if we want to change it, we need to also check other searchers to make sure they all have the same interface, right?
Yeah, so all of them should be renamed to metric, right? So rather than use distance metric, right?
Yes.
Okay. And use SciPy, this is actually not really necessary, right? Because the match function, because you can, this is not necessary. So basically the match function can handle this automatically. You can just tell it .match and then use SciPy true or false, right? So you don't have to, so here it implements a logic that the indexer is responsible for telling whether to use SciPy, right? Those are very detailed things, but I just want to give you an idea, when I see the simple indexer, why do I always say that the simple indexer is too complicated? The simple indexer is not good enough as a role model for the executor. So in this case, the simple indexer is not responsible for determining whether to use SciPy. You should just pass this over to the match function. The match function here itself, right? It can, right? You just pass this Boolean variable to that, And if it can, then it will cause SciPy. If it can't, then it will break. That's it. Right. So you don't have to catch those errors. Right. Okay. So here I will just so also here so you see, so it is actually kind of like a the user won't know, right? So the user won't know that, oh, once you use this kind of thing, it's not SciPy, but if you use other things, it is SciPy. So it's kind of like a very hidden behavior. The user from outside, they won't know, right? But this also introduces extra dependency, which are not by default. By default, it's not needed, right? So I will remove this line, and later we will come to that. So that I will also change this to metric. Okay, so docs embedding. Okay, so I will look at what is that later, right? And then this is a Jina log. Okay, so now comes to the doc, to the index. So let's keep it this way at the moment. So let's come to the docs, and so there's a docs, there's a parameter, right? So first of all, this is wrong, right? So you see that it already threw a warning here. This is because in Python you don't really do this default argument as a mutable argument, right? So you basically, that means you cannot write either a set or a list here. This is super important. So this will also complain. What you can give is an immutable things like this, right? So a tuple is immutable, right? So, and also here it's wrong, by the way. Every time you have optional something, the default value should always be none, right? Then otherwise you won't need this option something, right? Whether every time you have an optional something, the default value must be none, right? Okay, and then it says if not docs return, this is not unnecessary. Maybe it is, but from the first guidance, I see it is unnecessary, because if it doesn't have docs, then probably this won't get triggered, or I don't know. It won't cause this. It shouldn't be handled at this level. But let's look at the traversal path. Is the parameters get traversal passes, and if it is not found, then use the default traversal path, right? And then the default traversal path is come from this default traversal path or root, or just traversal the root, right? Okay, and then so here it basically traverse flat, and then extend all this thing, right? Okay, but we have to understand this actually flattened, right? It's basically traverse the hierarchies and flatten. So it's basically did two things, right? So it's first traverse all the things and then flatten into one sequence. It's basically remove the nested structure of the documents, right? It removes all the nested structure of the document and then put into documentary map, right? So this is our storage, right? So this is our storage, right? And so maybe to get it more clear, we can rename it to storage. Right. So this is a storage. Storage attends this one. So let's first. I mean, this looks good. Looks fine, but for me, it's probably not necessary. So let's look later, right? And then for the search, okay. So here the same thing. We don't need that, right? And we have docs optional, if not return, right? So now you'll see the point. If every time we have to write something like this, right? Then there's nothing stop us by writing these two lines in every executor, in every function of every executor. Then there is problem, right? And then you immediately see the problem. Either this code is not necessary, right? Or the core is not implemented this logic, right? The logic here is if you have to write these two lines of code in every function of every executor, right? Then this is problematic, not because of you, because of the core's design, right? Okay, so let's just double check whether we can send you know, something empty here, right? So I think we can, right? So basically, if you run something like this, it still works, right? So, but I think the problem here is, you know, the problem here is the logic here, right? So the logic here, traversal, this traverse path, it actually depends on depends on the parameters, right? And so basically, when the executor is getting code, right, or the executor is code, there are either it has value, this has value, right? Value, or this has value, or both have value, right? But you cannot tell. You cannot tell in advance because let's say in some scenario where this get value but this doesn't, then you have this problem, right? So this is a problem. This is a chance that you only will get this problem, and that's where these two things you know, make sense or take effect, right? But in general, I would say don't worry about it. So I will just delete this. Right? So I would rather to throw this arrow out instead of capturing this very implicitly, right? So I will just throw it out, right? And the same here, I will just throw it out. Okay, and then here it says now, it says if there's no storage, right? Then we just you know, get nothing, right? We just return, and there is a lot of if else, this kind of logic here, right? So if then return, if it has something, then the traverse, if it traverse returns something, nothing, then it's right. So it has all these things. So basically, this has to be implemented. So let's first try to remove this line because the storage is only used here, right? So now the problem, if you look at this two if here, the problem is whether an empty document array can match another document array, empty document array, right? Or if either one is empty, does this function still works, right? So this is a key problem. If this function works anyway, regardless whether left-hand value and right-hand value is empty or not, then you don't need this logic anymore, right? So let's make a test, right?
About like the NP docs, I think. If we cannot, I think we should handle it probably in a Jina core, because sometimes I want to send a kind of like a dump request, and this executor doesn't have that request, and that dump request doesn't pass any documents to the request.
Yeah.
So that will cause the, you know, the empty input of the document. And for this executor, if it doesn't implement the dump or other, you know, requests, it will use the default request and probably get some errors if we don't have that right now in the executor. Yeah. So I agree. It's better to have it in Jina core or like the decorator to handle that.
Yeah. So let's create so first of all, let's create this two documents, right? And this is DA1, and there's another DA2, right? So let's change this to 3, 4. This is 2, 3, and this is 4, 5. Right? Let's do this in this way. And then the first, you know, this kind of trial is to DA1.match DA2, right? And then print it. Extend. What is going on? Document array. Oh, I think embedding. Oh, yes. There's extra. This one is not necessary.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, because it's in place. So it's written in document 1. Right. So something like this. Okay, so this works, right? So now the problem is if left-hand side is empty. Oh, sorry. this doesn't work. So it's a document1 dot document2, and then sorry, this should be, and then print DA1. Right. Let's say DA1 dot yeah, just print DA1, right? Okay, so this works, right? So you get the matches, and here's the value, right? And now the problem is, if I have an empty document array, right? Does this still works? No, it doesn't work, right? So the problem here is it doesn't handle the embeddings, this kind of proto, this kind of fast access, well, right? So first, let's make sure this works, right? So this works. So you can create an empty document array, right? So if you just print DA1, right? So it is it is a document array has 0 items with a broken grammar, but it works, right? So and now if we change the order, right? So how about DA2 match DA1? Does it work? No, it doesn't work. So I think also like the it's more or less the same index out of range, right? So yeah, it's instance document 0 and the array, right? So I think here the problem is this match function is not correctly implement the if else here, and that's why you have to to handle this by yourself, right?
Yeah.
So let's do something here, right? So so here is basically saying that okay, so let's see. So first of all, let's look at this function. This function is an in-place. So basically, this is already inside the core, right? So this is inside the core. So this function is the match function is computed and modifies the left-hand value, right? The left-hand value, LHV, in the in place, right? It modifies this in place, right? And therefore, we need to, I want to add it anyway. So the first thing is if self is if not self, right? Return, right? So that basically means if your self is empty, then just return, right? Or right, your D array, if not D array, right? So this, we know the Boolean logic can be summarized by and, right? But better not to do that here, because I don't know whether if you write it this way, right? So it works, but if we let's try this. Let's hope this doesn't generate any effect. I think we implement the Boolean operators for document array, right? So if we look at the document array, so I think I rewrite, right? So all things considered, right? So we already have this Boolean, this magic function implemented. That means we can use not directly without calling the len, because inside that we say that everything. So none of a document array is defined by if it has 0 elements, right? So that's why you can use this shortcut, Boolean shortcut, to directly cut it, directly work with it, right? So that basically means this shortcut logic makes sense, right? So that means either so if this must coexist, right? Both of them must have value. Otherwise, I won't compute. Right? Yes. So that's kind of right. Okay. So let's try this again. Okay, now it works. Right. So you can do DA1 and DA, both of them will work. Right. So. And then I print DA2, and then I just copy paste this in, and just something like this. And as a final example, I will just match myself, right? So all of them should work. Right? Yeah, all of them should work. Yeah. Okay. So that's this node, right? So that's kind of the add this to do, add this to core, or fix the core. Fix this in core. Okay. Okay. So now back to this one, right? So then basically here we don't need this logic anymore. So we traversal path. Again, we get the parameters, and those all these things are not necessary. Right? This is also not necessary, right? So and flatten docs traversal int default top K, and then match. Why this match is not why this match is labeled for traversable sequence? I see. Okay. Okay, I see. Limit to top K, right? So this is a kind of the. Let me check the match function. It has, you see, it has a lot of parameters here. It has a lot of parameters here, but it's not really implement every one of them, right? So it's not implementing every one of them in the executor, right? So therefore, I mean, so either we say that, you know, we kind of allow the user to configure how they want to match, right? In a separate, kind of like separate parameters, right? So what I propose is something like this, right? If we really want to enable the full, you know, the full kind of like a power of match function or full flexibility, I will just say merge ARGs, right? And this is a dictionary, and then you can put everything there, right? And then basically so instead of now this function, the init function here will become a merge ARGs, right? And this is optional dictionary, right? Something like this, right? And then you're basically however it is organized, right? So you don't have responsibility to you don't have to check it. You don't have to check it. You just feed it with a match to here, right? So you just do something like red, right? There's a merge ARGs, right? Something like this.
Yes. So.
Right. So that is much better, right? So you don't have to write all kind of populations like for every function that you code in your executor, and then, you know, aggregate all this into here. You don't have to do that. So what you need to do is just you just self.match match arch equals match arches or this one, right? So later then you don't have to worry about, you know, unboxing this one, right? So now you can unboxing this one, right? So this match this one, and then unboxing, right? So then this is how it works. And then also then the top K is also not necessary, right? Because top K is only used by match function, right? So you don't use that. Right. Because this already contains the top K, so you don't use the top K anymore. Right. Okay. Okay, so this are easy, right? So index and search are easy. So let's look at the delete. Right? So again, as I argue, this is not necessary. So if it is, oh yeah, by the way, so if it is traverse flat, and then if traverse this one is empty, then we should also, let's say, we should also, you know, I think did I delete the one? Okay, so yeah, this one, and also get attributes ID, and then we get the docs there. So okay, so I have to traverse in order to get the docs. I have to traverse in order to get the docs. Is that true? Do I always have to traverse to get the docs? Yes. But how can the user know? But this is a very, you have to do. So basically, if your traverse path is wrong, then you cannot get the docs, even though it is there, right? So do you see the problem here?
Yeah, but like if you don't specify the traverse path, well, like what are you going to do? Like traverse all the documents or all the layers?
Yeah.
Oh.
But then we need such function in the core, right? We need a function that can basically traverse everywhere.
Yes.
Like a traverse full, like can't just a flatten, right? Something like a flatten. I would say flatten would be good, right? Flatten or
yeah, I think for this logic, since it means that the user will pass the like the documents that are going to be deleted, what that really matters is the ID. So you just need to like a document array contain all the documents with a specific ID, and we just extract the IDs from all the documents. This traverse path of these docs in the delete function doesn't matter, I think.
No,
it's not
yes.
traversing our self docs, it's traversing the the delete docs.
Oh, I see. Okay, so because here, yeah, but here the problem here is again, right? So you see, so it actually storage. So here in the storage, you delete the storage, right? But this traversal path, but then this is even more confusing, right? So here you have a docs, right? So let me tell you why this is more confusing, right? So let me delete this one. So this is your index time, this DA, and it has certain nested structure. So I will just use this one. This is a let's say this is a I don't know, this is not good. So I'm going to change I'm going to I'm going to use I'm going to draw something here. So this is my document, and this is my sub document. This is my sub document. So chunks, and then there are also some matches. So matches I will basically use. I will just do something like this. So this is my matches. So this is one. This is
one document.
This is a one document, doc1, right? So this is my document, and then I will just label this to, this is my chunk. This is my chunk, and this is also my chunk, and this is my match. Right, so this is kind of the same, right? So this is one document. It has a very strange architecture here, a very strange structure here. This is my match. I will just I'll just change the background color to this one, right? So this is my thing, right? So and then we have a lot of things, right? So this is in the index time, and then we define a traversal path, right? So in the index time, we say, oh, please go to first go down to the match to the chunk, and then please go left to the matches, right? And then probably please also then go down. So this is your let's say, for example, this is called a CMC, right? Chunk matches MC, right? Something like this. Weird grammar that we have, right? So and this is your storage time, index time. This is your index time traversal path. Traversal path. And then and now the problem right now is and then the task is you want to delete a document from the storage. Right. So now the problem is if you don't traverse in the same way, you cannot delete it. And also if you don't traverse in the same way, probably this document is not stored in the first place, right? Because you traverse flat means that you only select this document on this path, right?
Yes.
If later you use another traversal path, right? Or you use a traversal path that is larger, more exhaustive than your index time traversal path, then the ID there, the document there is not even stored there, right? There's no such document there. It's not stored in the index time, right? So there is no point to traversal anymore, right? Okay, now this is a thing, right? And then the more chaotic part is we now have even like a index time, query time document, and this query time document has its own traversal path, right? Has its own traversal path. It's probably something like this, right? Right. And then you say that, okay, I'm going to select the doc ID that maps to the index times structure, query time structure, and to delete the index time doc, right? This is just not well thought, right? So this is really not well thought. So we don't have to do this, right? We don't have to do this, and we just need to make sure, right? So in the index time, so for example, here, there's no point to traverse it. Just store them all, right? Just store them all. In the query time, if you want to traverse, then you should always traverse in the same direction, right? Or you can say, oh, I'm going to allow, this is so what I'm saying is that so this is your query, right? So it's docs right now is your query, right? Because this is your search, right? So this is your queries, right? So this is a let me rename this. This is your flattened queries, right? And then so basically your own docs, your own storage should be also traversed in the same way, so that you get your flattened storage, right? Notice that the storage is not flattened here. The here is just a it's just a append. It just extend to here, right? And here you flatten that, or you kind of like a redo your traversing things here, right? And then here the match that happens between these two things, right? Right. So, or you say that, oh yeah, I'm going to say, oh, this is my query traverse path, right? Traverse passes, and then I have another parameter called, index traversal passes, and then you have to ask yourself, what is it? What is the usage for that, right? What is the usage for that? I mean, we of course want to. We can. So, do you see like what is the really usage of having all this flexibility there? Do people already ask for that, right?
No.
So this is really the problem, right? Right. So when I do this, I will just remove everything. Right. I don't need this also traversal things, which because I can't figure out the usage, and I don't believe people want to use that. Right. So it just makes all the things even more complicated, and then it is violates the simple indexer's point. Right. And what is the point of simple indexer? It's basically avoiding people to write the simple map, this kind of thing again, right? So what I will do here is basically docs and then match my storage, right? And that's it, right? So
we have the logic in the match, like traverse all the layers.
No, we don't. We just traverse the root. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you can also say that if you add another executor in front of my simple indexer, right? Then the other executor should be responsible for for putting everything into correct structure, right? So you see what I mean? right? So this is my executor. This is my, you know, I will just do the traverse here, traverse flat, and then I will return this thing, right? I will return according to my, you know, whatever this user given, or, you know, CM or whatever this thing, right? CM, this kind of thing. I will return this thing. And then what I will do is I will add this ahead of, you know, ahead of SimpleIndexer.
Yeah.
Right? So then basically this executor is responsible for restructuring all the documents instead of using my indexer, because SimpleIndexer is not responsible for doing that. SimpleIndexer is just a store, fetch, read, delete, and that's it, right? Delete, update, right? You want some special traverse logic, then you give me the correct order. You give me the correct flattened document.
Right. I think I agree. I think this makes sense for the SimpleIndexer, but I think we should keep in mind that like for other searchers, maybe this is not recommended because of, like my flow might be like complicated. Like after this indexer or searcher, there might be some other logics that might want to use the root document. Like if I want to follow this design, I might lose the, you know, the root documents because I only return maybe the chunks matches.
Yeah, but this is just you know, one way. For SimpleIndexer, I think we don't need to overshoot on this.
Yes, true.
Okay, so and now we let's look at whether we are over time, but let's just quickly go through this. So for the delete again, so we don't need to go for everything. So we just and also here get attributes ID. This is also okay. So let's get back to this. Notice that the delete interface, this is a very important that you don't have to rely everything on the docs, right? You don't have to rely everything on the docs, right? So look at this logic here. It traverses the traversal path to get the ID, right? Then who defines, you see, this doc string saying that delete entrance from index by what? By ID or by traversal path, right? By ID, right? But what does this implement it? What does this line tells you? It tells you that the ID doesn't matter. I'm not deleting something by ID. I'm deleting by traversal path. I'm deleting all the documents on this traversal path. Right? So this is completely wrong, right? This is completely wrong. This is violate every perspective of the delete, right? Why you want to, this is like a delete RM minus F, right? So this is like delete everything on this traversal path. It's not following any ID. It doesn't respect any ID. It just delete anything on this traversal path. And traversal path is given by what? It's given by one of the parameters.
Sorry, I see your point, but I think for this delete, the docs contains all the documents that need to be deleted. I mean, like for each ID in the docs that they will be deleted from storage. So I think it is fine that we delete all the, you know, I just need to think about like whether we need to use traverse path here or not.
No, we don't. We don't. And also I wouldn't write it this way. What I will write is you want to get the ID, right? Just send me the ID, right? So I would just do things like this, right? You want to use the IDs, you want to tell me the delete IDs, then you just tell me the IDs, right? So I don't even need these parameters here. Why do I need that? Right?
True.
And that's it. That's delete IDs, right?
Yes.
Right. So that's it. That's basically that's a delete, right? Okay. So now go to the update. So update again, we first remove this line, right? And traversal path is traversal again, and then traverse flat, and then this kind of thing, right? So, but here I was just saying, I would just say, it's kind of like doing intersection, right? It's intersection between the docs and the storage, right? Between the query and the storage, right? So for that, I would say again, so I don't like traversal path because it's always complicates the thing. I would do something like for doc in docs, right? If doc ID is not none, right? And then we update this. Okay, so it's kind of not only update but also like a update on the update on the update on the update on the pen. But this should be simply like this, right? Right. This is update. This is update, right? This is update. So update, and also the doc string here should be update the docs with the same ID. If not present, insert into storage of append. Right? This is a logic, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And finally, the field embedding, I feel like retrieve the embeddings of the document by ID. Yeah, again here for docs in doc ID. Again here, this is I think this is a mindset that has to be changed. You don't have to rely on docs to pass the information, right?
Yes.
So here you need to, what you need is a parameters here, right? And also this is the field embedding is not very correct, right? So okay, I see your point. You basically want, so I still need the docs, right? But I don't want to use the I see your point. You want to fill the queries embedding if they are presented in the storage, right? So now I see your point. So
not only return the embeddings. Yeah.
No, you can not only return embedding because you must always return document array, right? You must always return document, and also like for doc in docs, right? And for doc in docs, this is for query docs. For doc.id in storage, I will just fetch that embedding to that, and then put that into the query docs, right? And if docs in storage, right? So that's kind of the thing, right? So I would again, like let's say so you can just sort this out. You can just sort the error out. Arrow to sort the exception out, right? So that's basically it, right? So that's kind of the simple indexer that we are aiming for, right?
Cool.
Right. So that's a simple indexer. Okay, so let's look at this again. So I will then hand over to you guys. So you, Winston and Yongxuan, you can continue to work on that. I will submit to a repository, and then you can work on that. And then after that, we can move to the next step. But I'm pretty sure that the remaining step will be pretty straightforward because we have the documentation for you. I will come to that later. So let's just give a look about the everything here, right? So match ARGs is something that we add, right? Because we want to leverage all the match functionalities that we implement. Default traversal path is not needed. Default top K is merged into March ARGs, right? And metric is merged into March ARGs. So the only parameters that we left here is March ARGs. basically, if you want to be more specific, probably you want to merge function ARGs, right? So this that is also fine, right? So but here I will just use merge ARGs. And then file name, remember we remove the file name because of Workspace, right? It's implement that, right? So we don't need that. Deferral traversal path, we don't need that because it's just too complicated. We probably need that, but that's not out of the scope of simple indexing. Top K merged into merge args. Matrix merged into merge args. Key length, we remove that because we believe if you are going to bother with key length, then you probably simple indexer is not for you, right? And we can correspondingly delete all these things, right? And keeps, oh, by the way, so what is this used, right? So this is not used anywhere, right? So we don't need this, right? Okay, then let's look at this thing. No one used the logger, right? So self.logger is not used, removed, and then we can finally remove this logger, and so that's basically the idea, right? So that's kind of the thing, right? So, and again, so if you found, so basically, if you found this thing cannot be run, don't try to modify this thing. Rather than try to ask in the core channel, right? Try to post your thing in the core channel, because it's very likely it is a missing feature in the core, right? Just like what we just found out, right? In this example, it is a missing feature in the core, right? And yeah, so that's kind of the spirit that for this simple indexer, right? And I will hand over the left work for you is probably migrating the task a little bit, and also like probably not test because but you have to make sure it works. Oh yeah, better with the test, and then also finally push that to the Jina hub, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think one thing is this will breaks lots of our examples since they heavily rely on the simple indexers. So we need to also fix the examples as well. That's the one to do.
No, we don't need to. If they use simple indexer, if they use the old simple indexer, right? Which example using simple indexer, and we can gather them. So first of all, we can rename that to let's say whatever this simple indexer.
Maybe rename this one.
Yeah, rename this one to easy index or something like that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and then and in the future we don't maintain simple indexer anymore, right?
Yeah, sure.
Or we rename the and then later we will just promote people to use easy indexer, right? Right.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah. Okay. And also try to find out why they are, if they try to also, once it's finished, we replace internally the examples, everything from simple indexer to easy indexer, and see why people using that. What are the features that people use beyond easy indexer, right? That we implement today, right? If it makes sense, then we can also add this, but add this with very, very cautious and very, very in a very, very conservative way, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, why do we use like easy indexes for examples? Like we want to keep the examples as simple as possible. Is that the reason?
I don't know what about the examples. What you mean example repository?
Yeah, the repo. Yes.
I don't know about that. I have no I haven't go to that place for a long time. I don't know why people, and it's probably Nan's decision, but I haven't checked for a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Me neither, because like sometimes like people in a channel asking like how to use the like searchers or other the searchers like storage, but we don't really have this example to demo this kind of the way to use that. So it's a little bit.
I guess because the searcher and the storage is still in very experimental stage, right?
Yes. That's might be.
Yeah. So let's make easy indexer good, right? And then hire the simple indexer, right? Okay. So now what I will do here is I will just create easy indexer, not in the centralized repository, but here, right? In the repo. So I will just call it executor with an easy indexer, right? Something like this. I will just call it easy. What is like the shorter word of easy indexer? What is an anonymous, a synonym of easy? I need a shorter word, like easy, dummy. Dummy is too dummy, like a toy indexer. Toy indexer is too toy. Easy indexer is probably better.
It's fine.
Or maybe we can just indexer. Okay, easy indexer. Easy indexer based on document, based on my map. And then we can make it public, and also and readme ignore yes, and then Python, and then choose a license Apache 2.0, right? And then yes, that's it. Right, so like this, right? And then you can I will just you can add your files there. So I will just I was just too lazy. I'm just I'm going to drag and drop. I'm going to use UI. So I'm founder, and then the simple indexer. So we have the readmes. I'll hand over to you, and so we have manifest, executor, config. We don't need requirements, and so that's the three things that we need, right? So I will just drag and drop to here, and then I will just say core first commit, right? Yeah. So okay, so now you can pick from here, right? Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this pair programming? Is this beneficial to you?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think we do learn a lot. Like the way of the coding and the math side, sound like the way of thinking is pretty. Yeah, it's super beneficial to me, I think.
Yeah, so we can do this more often. We can have these things more often, because of course, as kind of the architect of this framework. So when I see how Jina is used, it's probably a lot of people don't see in that way, right? So that's why I want to how I write Jina is basically considered the best practice of using Jina, right? So, yeah, so I hope that, but really the idea of, I'm not trying to sell the how to use Jina, but the most important thing is really about this mindset of developing API and what should be there and what should not be there, right? This mindset is super important because we are a software infrastructure company. We want to provide a good user experience for developers, right? And we have to understand from the developer perspective, right? What are the needs? What are the immediate need for them, and what are the second level needs for them, right? So this is super important. All right, so that's it for today, and so I will stop recording, and I hope I do record it, right? So I think that